Diego Pavia returns to Jordan-Hare. Is it going to be 3 in a row? Does Vandy become bowl eligible? Yes.
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. I am your host, Corey Burton. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube as a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. So today, it's a very simple show. It's Friday. We discuss the keys to the game. What does Vandy need to do Saturday to come away with a victory? What does this mean? What's at stake? All of that, right? So the keys to the game. Here's what's at stake first before we kind of get into why or what Vandy needs to do to win this game. Here's what's at stake, okay? For the team, they're sitting at 5-3. They win this game. They're bowl eligible. And after last year and that result, that seems unthinkable, right? To go to a bowl. So that is looming on the horizon. They're sitting there one game away. They can reach it this weekend against an Auburn team that's been struggling for most of the year. They found a little bit of something against Kentucky. So Vandy's going to have their work cut out for them when they come. All right. For Diego Pavia, right? This is his chance to show that winning in Jordan-Hare Stadium last year wasn't a fluke. He's got to show that. He's got to continue to prove that, hey, I'm the leader of this team. I can control the game. I can manage this road environment. I'm good. So those are the things that are at stake. For Auburn, it's just getting back on track, right? They're 3-5 right now, and they just need to get back on track with some wins and collect some wins. Last week was their first conference win of the season, so they've got to get back on track there. That's what's at stake for them. They could lose. They could lose the crowd. They could lose the fan base if they lose this game, and that might spell the end for Hugh Freeze. So for Hugh Freeze, that's what's at stake. All right. So bowl game. I predicted it at the beginning of the year. One game away from that pick coming to fruition, and then they'll have a chance to add a bonus win because I said 6-6 at the beginning of the year, back in the summer, even before they even started camp. I said 6-6 was the record. All right. I didn't know Bama was going to be a part of those 6 wins and Georgia State was going to be part of those 6 losses. But here we are. We're sitting at 5-3 right now. They can get their 6th win, and a bowl game becomes a reality. So here's what needs to happen, though. Okay. So there's a lot of keys to this game. There's a lot of things that Diego Pavia needs to do to be able to get his 3rd straight, for Vandy to be able to reach their bowl game. And there's a lot to happen here because it is a tough environment. Auburn is playing well right now. They haven't played well all season, but they found something here. So here's our keys to success. We'll go through what each of these mean, but control the tempo, control the game. That's probably going to be number 1 the rest of the year because that's Vandy's identity. That's their MO. They've got to play to that. Find something in the pass game, limit Jarquez, Hunter, and Peyton Thorne in the run game, and manage a very hostile road environment. Okay, so controlling the tempo. All right, that is number 1. Number one. Control the tempo of the game. All right, and they can do that with the run game. And we talked to Zach Blackerby yesterday. He's very impressed with those freshman defenders, especially in the secondary. The edge guys are playing really well, but honestly, freshmen are freshmen. Okay, and that's what Vandy has to hope for, is that they need to, when they control the tempo this week, they need to ensure that these freshmen do play like freshmen. Okay, because freshman mistakes, freshmen trying to make split decisions in a hair of time. They're in the option game. Diego Pavia is very good at being deceptive. Tim Beck and Jerry Kill have been phenomenal in being able to disguise looks and being able to get to the same play from multiple different looks, whether it's unbalanced, 2x2 formation of the boundary, pre-snap motion to get to those looks, things like that, just to be able to get into some of these runs without telegraphing it based on formation. What I really like about that is that it eliminates formation tendencies, right? It eliminates, they're in this look, they're doing this thing, because they can hit you with a bunch of different things. Like they could go formation in the boundary, jet read it to the field where they overload the trip side, and now you've got space and now you've got numbers. All right. This offense is predicated on putting guys in space and forcing them to make a decision and a play all in a split second. Right. And if Auburn can do that, they'll have some success in controlling the game. If Vandy has a couple of 3-and-outs, that's going to spell a little bit of trouble, because Auburn can get their offense going and they can get some things happening on that side of the ball if Vandy allows them the opportunity to be able to have the time and not as much pressure to do something with that time, and that'll help Auburn. So for Vandy, they have to get first downs. Death by 1,000 paper cuts. The same game plan you had against Alabama. Hold the ball, get first downs, even if you don't score. If you can push the ball to midfield, take 4 minutes off the clock, then punt it, pin them deep, that puts some pressure on them, right? You have to take advantage of your scoring opportunities when you cross into the red zone, when you cross that field goal line, which Brock Taylor is been outstanding since that Missouri game as far as being able to make these long kicks. So your range and your opportunity for points expands a little bit thanks to Brock Taylor. So you have to control the tempo, which means you have to get these first downs. So you have to win first down. Then you have to win second down, right? So if you can win first down, get yourself in a second and manageable, you open up a lot of things, because even if you throw an incomplete pass and it's 3rd and 5, that's manageable for Diego Pavia. He's good from 3rd and 6 on. He's almost completely money from those down and distances. So being able to win on first down opens up a lot of possibilities on second down and gives you a chance to either convert then or get yourself into a third down that's manageable, like a 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2, to where you have everything open to your disposal. Even in the pass game, where you do what Pavia does best is move the pocket and dump it to a tight end or dump it to a crossing route or getting these off-platform throws that he likes to make. So being able to control the tempo and getting these first downs really puts that pressure on Auburn, because they feel like they have to ratchet up their tempo, and that's not what they're good at. Peyton Thorne is very indecisive. If he's passing a lot, it means Auburn's in trouble. It means they've turned the ball over a couple of times, or it means that, whatever's happening there. All right. Defensively, you have to slow Auburn down. Okay. You have to force them to be one-dimensional. That's controlling the game on that side of the ball. Because if you let Jarquez Hunter get going, and I'll talk more specifically about it here in a little bit, but you have to be able to control what Auburn's doing. And again, it just goes back to that, make them snap it a lot, because Auburn's shown that they will turn the ball over, and they've shown that they have the capability of turning the ball over and putting themselves in really bad situations, especially when they get in some of these 3rd and longs. So if they can push back a little bit, control the down and distance, and control the clock, and make Auburn snap the ball a lot, good things will happen for this defense, because Auburn is very turnover prone. And you put the ball in Peyton Thorne's hands in the passing game, and Auburn fans will tell you this, there's no telling what's going to happen, right? They want Jarquez Hunter to score in 5 plays, because it means he's ripping off some long runs. And they want him to get fed early and often, early and often, and often and often and over again. So control the tempo, control the game. That's the key. That's the biggest key for Vandy. That's how they're going to win any game from this point forward. That's the main thing. If they can do, is get first downs and push the chains back on defense, and then use special teams to control the field, right? So Brock Taylor getting points from 50 yards out when he has a chance to. That's a major key. Jesse Mirko having some booming punts that don't roll into the end zone and that can pin them inside the 10, force them to drive at 90 plus, right? That's a big thing. That plays into tempo, that plays into clock, that plays into field position. It helps the defense, and it helps the defense be able to be more aggressive and it helps flip field position to where if Auburn gets bogged down in those situations, they have to punt it out, and Vandy has shorter fields each time. So instead of 2 first downs, getting you into a position where you can pin them deep, if you can keep them pinned deep, 2 first downs gets you into a scoring range, right? And it gets you points. It gets you opportunity for points. And Vandy's been really good on 3rd down, and they've been really good in the red zone as far as converting points. So that's something that Vandy's been strong at, and that's something that, again, it's a big key, right? But how does Vandy move the sticks, right? Because Auburn's they're going to key in on this option. I guarantee you they've been preparing for it. I don't know if a week is long enough to prepare for what Vandy does, but Auburn has been preparing, so Vandy's got to have some wrinkles. How do they move the chains consistently throughout the game? We'll talk about it next. All right, 5-Hour Energy. Our friends at 5-Hour Energy know that being a passionate football fan isn't just a hobby. It's a way of life. It takes a lot of energy to power through all day, tailgates, touchdown celebrations, or agonizing second overtimes, which Vandy's been through that against Missouri, so which is why they've created the 5-Hour Energy Shot with a special flavor called FanFuel. That's right, FanFuel. The energy shot is made just for super fans like us. The fans who are first in the parking lot, last to leave. We see you, right? So 5-Hour Energy, what does a 5-Hour Energy moment look like from the Vandy perspective? Well, I can tell you this, all right? The biggest one was carrying that goalpost through downtown. That was the biggest one, right? The long touchdown at the beginning of the Missouri game, even though in a loss, that was an energetic moment there. That was a 5-Hour Energy moment because it got things started. The victory over Virginia Tech, the thrill of stopping them at the goal line in the second overtime to clinch that win. Just the energy in that stadium, the thrill and just the exhilaration of, hey, Vandy finally got one, right? Vandy was not supposed to win that game. Even in the third quarter, Virginia Tech was surging, and then Vandy, they must have took some 5-Hour Energy shots between the third and fourth quarter because they turned it on. So 5-Hour Energy knows that no matter what team you root for, being a fan requires heart, soul, and a whole lot of energy. So whether you're preparing for the big tailgate or ironing your jersey, your game day to-do list is always a mile long. That's why limited edition Stan the Fan 5-Hour Energy Shot is here to help keep you full throughout the season. So what's your fan fuel this week? Whatever it is, do it with the 5-Hour Energy. Available on 5hourenergy.com. Shipped nationwide. All right, we're back talking keys to the game. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. If you need a second listen, look at Locked On SEC. If you want to go behind enemy lines, after you listen to this, go to Locked On Auburn. We did a crossover yesterday. If you want to hear more of what Zach Blackerby is saying about this matchup, just switch over to Locked On Auburn the same way you found this show. Just search that and give him a listen as well. But this game is again, there's a lot at stake here. Vandy, bowl eligible. Diego Pavia has some personal goals here against Hugh Freeze and also in the building. Pavia Air Stadium, or Jordan-Hare Stadium, the house that Pavia built. Those are kind of the jokes that are going around there. This game's important, man. Bowl game is right there on the cusp. It's right there. All they got to do is roll in, get that bowl game, and then play with house money after that. So here's the keys. All right. I asked a question before Stan the Fan energy shot came into the picture. How do you move the chains offensively? What is something Vandy can do to move the chains offensively? Well, you got to find something in the passing game, right? That's the biggest key, right? Find something in the passing game because it's going to take that because Vandy's going to limit what they're going to sell out to stop what Pavia and Alexander and Newberry do. They're going to stop the run. They're going to stop the option attack. That's their goal, all right? That's them doing their job, okay? Because they have coaches that get paid a lot. They have scholarship players too. They have some freshmen that are playing really well all over the defense. So they're going to be geared up to stop this. And of course, they have that personal mission of making sure Diego Pavia doesn't hurt them and doesn't and doesn't allow him to get going. So what is Vandy going to have to do to combat that, right? Because you've got to keep them honest, you've got to keep them on their toes, and you've got to keep them, and you got to prevent them from selling out against something that you do. Okay, Auburn's offense is hoping they can get Jarquez Hunter going, because if Vandy sells out, they don't really have anything. And both of these teams really need to find a passing game. All right. Vandy needs to force Auburn to find a passing game, and Auburn's going to force Vandy to find a passing game. So what does that look like? Okay. Well, first thing that Vandy likes to do in the pass game, they get Diego Pavia moving the pocket, right? You've got to find ways to get him out on the edge. You've got to find ways to get him, get that pocket moving for him, and get some routes that can win and that he can throw, right? Easy completions is something that can get anybody going, especially in a hostile environment. You got the crowd roaring. You got 90,000 people, because they shoehorn them in there at Jordan-Hare. You got to get that crowd quieted down a little bit. What gets them quiet? Throw a hitch out there, let it go for 8, and then get a first down. That crowd's going to get a little bit quieter. All right. Throw a slant. Crowd's get a little bit quieter. Right. Hit some easy passes, some quick throws. Get your rhythm going. Don't take a shot on the first play. Right. Get your rhythm going. Okay. Get a chain moving a couple times, then take a shot, right? But you've got to get those easy passes down. That's something that can get Auburn reeling and get them on their heels, because now if you're completing slants and hitches, they have to close down that space. And when you close down that space, in the sport of football, you only have 11 defenders. So you can't close down every window, right? You close one window, another one opens, and you got to find ways to attack those. And you got to find ways to dictate which windows this defense is going to close. And you've got to have a plan of which windows you're going to attack, which areas of space you're going to attack to force the defense into where you want them to get to what you really want to do, which is open up those edge spaces so that you can run your option plays, right? So you got to be able to manipulate the defense to force them to think they have to stop certain things, right? And it doesn't have you don't have to sit there and throw 40 passes to do that. You just need some easy throws. You just need some things that's going to loosen them up a little bit. And once they get loosened up a little bit, then you can start running. And then when they tighten back down, then you can loosen them up. Then you can take some shots, and then you can go do what you do, right? But you have to be calculated in how you manage that. And there's only, and Diego Pavia honestly is limited in what he can do in the passing game. He's limited in how, what he can throw and how he can throw it and all that stuff. And it's just not. He's not a pocket passer. We knew that. We know that. And that's just who he is, right? We accept that. So you've got to find things that he can throw, like move in the pocket, double move, corner route. Was a really good play, I think, against it was against Alabama. You hit one for a touchdown. Having things, he really likes to square his shoulders up to the line of scrimmage and throw back to the middle of the field, which is dangerous. He's gotten picked off doing that, but also he hits those sit routes that come in as he's rolling to the left. He has to do this rolling to the left, but he pulls up and just flings it sideways almost to a sit route that is almost like 45 degrees from where he is towards the middle of the field, which is an extremely dangerous throw. I hold my breath every time he does it. But he's got to be able to hit those throws, and he's got to be able to have guys he can rely on, which Junior Sherrill's getting there. Quincy Skinner is getting there. They're becoming more reliable, but in order to get themselves bowl eligible and finish the season strong, they're going to have to find it this weekend, because it's a tough place to not be able to do that kind of thing. So they have to find something in the pass game. Easy throws is a great place to start, and then of course shot plays, move in the pocket, play action, screens, things like that. They have a really good tunnel screen that they like to run. That's effective. It's one of those short tunnel screens. They flare the back and they run the tunnel screen back the other side to the boundary, to the number 2 guy. And so that's a really effective screen that I like. They do it to Junior Sherrill, or they might split out AJ Newberry if they go 20 personnel and do it to him. So, but that find things in the passing game. Okay. Now defensively, what this means, what this translates to, limit Jarquez Hunter and Peyton Thorne in the run game. What this means is force Auburn to find something to beat you in the passing game with. And the way Peyton Thorne plays quarterback, that's going to be hard to do against this defense because Miles Capers can flat get after you. So you stop Jarquez Hunter, and we talked about it yesterday. Zach Blackerby and I talked about it yesterday. If you want to stop them from getting going, that's what you have to do. You have to stop them and limit them before they get going, right? You have to understand that Peyton Thorne's going to pull the ball occasionally to find space on the edge. So you have to have somebody there that's going to be able to tackle in space. You have to tackle in space. You have to, if you're the first guy there, you have to be the first guy, and you can't miss that tackle. You either have to hang on until reinforcements get there, or you have to make the tackle yourself. I think that's important. They didn't do that enough against Texas, especially in the second quarter, especially in the first half, where they were able to get a guy out on the edge where you have them stop for a 1 yard gain or a no gain or maybe even a loss, and then they end up getting 9, 10, 20 yards because you missed a tackle and there's nobody else there, right? And Texas did a good job of putting formationally and putting guys in space to where they had those one-on-ones. And if they won the one-on-one, then there was a ton of space to take advantage of. And if they didn't, it was a bad play for the offense. So you have to force Auburn to find something in the passing game, which if that's the case, if Vandy's successful in that, I think they have the advantage there because Peyton Thorne is very indecisive. He's prone to turn the ball over, right? So that is something that Vandy needs to force. They need to force the game into Peyton Thorne's hands because he's shown that he can't handle it. And I don't know if I'm fueling the fire here, but he's shown that he cannot handle it. So that's one thing you have to do if you're going to come away with a victory. So, but yeah, managing a hostile road environment for Pavia. Again, managing his expectations because he's going to be jacked up. Something we have to do. We'll talk about that and picks next. All right, talking about FanDuel. Get ready to tackle NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. That's right. FanDuel is America's #1 sports book. And because right now new customers can bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if you win, right? So you get $150. So get this, bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets. Is that not awesome? That's pretty awesome. And I'm going to show you some picks here in a little bit. We're going to circle back to this to show you what you can bet your $5 bet on. So FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on NFL, college football, NBA, NHL, all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats. You can view live play-by-play and so much more in the same page where you place your bets. They also have personal prop bets for NFL games where you can bet like DeAndre Hopkins is going to make 4.5 receptions, right? And you go over under that. So stuff like that's a lot of fun. So visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, we continue on. We close out the show. We close out the week in preparation for a tough road test against Auburn in Jordan-Hare Stadium. We're talking keys to success because this game carries a lot for Vandy right now. And they have a lot to play for. They're extremely motivated at this point because guess what? There's a bowl game at stake. And this will be Clark Lee's first bowl game. This will be the first time that Vandy's had true life in a long time. This will open up NIL possibilities. This will create wins in recruiting, which you're starting to see that on the trail. So if you're a Clark Lee hater, he's recruiting his butt off. He's showing his personality. Like Jerry Kill and Tim Beck have unlocked something in him. And I'm here for it, right? Because he needed that. He needed that to be successful. So that's beside the point. We'll have plenty of time to discuss that and talk about that. But manage a very hostile road environment. That's your last key, okay? Because playing at Auburn's not an easy place. Playing on the road in the SEC in general is not easy, but Auburn adds an extra element because those fans, when they're dialed in, which they're dialed in about 95% of the time, that 5% is when Auburn is completely terrible, which they're not there yet. But if they lose this game, the future games might not be as great. But they need to manage a very hostile road environment. This crowd is going to be on Diego Pavia. Okay, this crowd is going to be loud. The communication is not going to be there, and Vandy has not historically, and even recent history, has not done a great job of managing that. Right, Georgia State. I mean, it wasn't a crowd thing. It was just that was their first road game, and I don't know that they were in a mature enough place to be able to handle going on a road in an environment as weird as that. The lighting was terrible. It was just dull atmosphere, and there was no energy, right? Missouri, I thought you handled it well at the beginning, and then as that game started turning a little bit, and as that game got close, that crowd got back into it a little bit, and I think Vandy, there were some things communication-wise that they didn't do, like on the Luther Burden overtime touchdown. Like there was a communication breakdown that led to him being wide open for that touchdown. Then Kentucky, I thought they did a really good job of managing that environment. It was a tough place to play. Those fans made it a tough place to play, and Vandy just kind of plowed through. They didn't score as many points as they wanted to, but they did hang on to the ball. They did force Kentucky to panic a little bit. So they handled that one probably the best. So what they need to do is hopefully they have really solidified their communication system, because that's when you play on the road in the SEC, all these stadiums are massive and all these fans are incredible. So they have loud environments. So when they have those loud environments, they have, you have to be able to communicate that. And you have to be able to get everybody on the same page, especially on the defense, right? And it's going to be it'll probably be oddly quiet defensively. But offensively, you're going to have to call protections. It's going to go nuts, right? And then like that defense, getting that adrenaline rush when the crowd doesn't go wild, right? That's also something, because like when you make a really good play, the crowd's not going to go wild. So you want to make the crowd get loud for you in a booing manner, because that's what's going to fuel you, because that means you're playing well, right? If the crowd's booing in a place like that, it means you're playing well and you're doing something right. So you want to get the crowd reacting heavily against you. You don't like a crowd that sits on their hands. There's not much energy creating there, right? The crowd going one way or the other, like if you're making good plays and they're booing, or there's a bad call, or there's something that Pavia is doing to pump up the crowd against him, like he lives for that kind of thing, and he obviously he is very comfortable in that environment, because he went down to this same exact environment as a road team at New Mexico State, where the crowd's not quite as into it, but it doesn't matter who Auburn's playing, their crowd's going to be crazy and they're going to be in a frenzy. But this game is extra because it's a conference game. It's Pavia who beat the crap out of them last year, so they're looking for redemption there, and it's a chance to get back on track for Auburn. So, and it's going to be Hugh Freeze saving his job. So Auburn's going to provide an electric atmosphere. Vandy's got to be able to handle it. They've got to be able to handle it in pregame, because they're going to get heckled in pregame. The conditions, the turf, the grass, the wind, the scenery, the backdrop for the kickers, like that all factors into it. The managing the hotel where they're staying, being able to just have the logistics that work out in Vandy's favor, like all of that, they're going to have to manage that. So if they can do that, they'll win. And Pavia's got to keep his emotions in check enough to run the offense and not be so wrapped up into playing to the crowd and playing to winning 3 in a row against Hugh Freeze. He's got to put his personal goals not way off to the side, but he's got to he's got to be there, right? And he's got to just be, hey, tunnel vision, let's get the job done, let's get this crowd booing, and let's get out of here with a win, right? That's what he's got to do. So those are the keys to the game. Real quick, one last time, control the tempo, control the game, find something in the passing game, force Auburn to try to find something in the passing game because they're not comfortable with that, and then manage a very hostile road environment and come out of here with this win. So we talked about our good friends at FanDuel, right? So here's some picks, right? So if you go to FanDuel Sportsbook, you can make a $5 bet and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. Well, you can bet a $5 on any one of these singles. You can do a parlay. I don't know, but these are some bets I feel good about. And I try to stick within the SEC. Pitt plus 7.5. If you can still get it at that line, that might be a good one. Get in on that one before the line drops there, because I think Pitt is a very good team and they're undefeated, but they're going on the road against SMU. That's kind of my bonus pick. But Vandy, obviously, if you can get them at 6.5, get them at 6.5 before that line drops. And I think Vandy's going to win this one. I'm calling it now. Vandy's going to win this one. It's going to be a close one, but they're going to win it. All right, so get in while you can at 6.5. Because even if they make a liar out of me, I still think they're going to cover, right? But I think they're going to win. A&M minus 2.5. They're rolling right now. In South Carolina, you just don't know what you're going to get, but they have one of the most elite defensive lines in the country. So there's that. But A&M is 2.5-point favorites. I think they win by a field goal. It's going to be a tight game there. So I'm taking the Aggies and Marcel Reed. And then Georgia, freshman quarterback. Kirby hates Georgia. This is the last year the game is going to be played in Jacksonville until 27. So this is Georgia's going to want to go out in a bang here. They're 17.5-point favorites. I think they're going to cover that. And they're going to, I don't think Florida's going to be able to get much going offensively in that one. So those are my FanDuel Sportsbook picks. Those are the ones I feel the best about. Again, bet responsibly, bet at your own risk. If you choose to play those, that is your choice. I did not lose you any money. Those are bets I'm going to take. So if you want to take them, take them. I feel good about them. But again, only bet if you're comfortable betting, and only bet what you can afford to lose. Okay. So don't bet the house on any of this stuff if you can't afford to lose it. Okay. You got to bet responsibly. But anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. And that's going to wrap up the week. So I hope you have a great weekend. If you head down to Auburn, be careful, enjoy the game, and we'll see you back here. We'll see you back here post game with a win. We'll see you back here Sunday with a loss. Maybe check it out for a YouTube short if there's a loss. Or I get to 500 subs before Saturday, I'll do an automatic post game if I can get to 500. I'm going to dangle that little carrot out there for you guys. But at Locked On Vandy, anywhere you can find it, rate, subscribe, like, comment, bring a friend, all that good stuff. But we'll see you back here next time on the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you back here soon. Anchor down. Be safe.